I'll call the order of the business meeting for Tuesday, April 7, 2020. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Lee.
Okay. So it looks like Councilman Scaringi stepped out for a minute, but hopefully he'll be back soon. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns,
Present.
Councilman Strawn,
Present.
and President Scanlon.
Present.
That's 6 here with 1 absent, who should hopefully be back soon, Scaringi.
Okay. Okay, let's on to the approval of minutes. Approval of minutes from the March 18, 2020 business meeting. Councilman Strong, please.
Mr. President, I stand and ask for unanimous approval of the minutes from the March 18, 2020 business meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to the public hearing. I'll let Lee take over from there.
Okay, so City Council will now hold a public hearing to obtain comments regarding introductory ordinance 20-34, which is authorizing the abandonment of Elizabeth Street and for the sale of the same and for the sale of 168 Oak Street to Front Street Residences LLC. We accepted comment this week over email to clerk@cityofbinghamton.com. We didn't receive any emails, but at this time, the public is welcome to call in if they'd like to participate in the public hearing, and they can call us right now at 772-7101.
We'll wait a couple minutes to see if anyone wants to call. And
Lee, can you just repeat that number a second time?
Yes, so the number that the public can call is area code 607-772-7101.
will this show up on the screen
It'll
there?
come up on this one.
Oh, should I wait?
There's someone in the window. He's trying to call.
Who is?
He's behind. I don't know.
No,
I think he's
it's
recording.
video. I think it's just recording.
Oh. Proud third district resident.
I'm sorry?
I said proud third district resident.
So you can close the public hearing.
All right, we'll close the public hearing on that. See no one call in. And on to public comment.
That should be done by motion.
Okay, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Maggie, second.
Second.
Second, okay. I didn't know if they were doing.
Yeah.
All in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to closing the public hearing? Who was that and what was that?
I'm sorry, was that an aye?
Sorry, that was a delayed aye because I was muted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. On to preferred agenda.
We'll do public comment.
Oh, the public comment. I'm sorry, the public comment. Lee, take care of that, please.
Yes, so at this time, we'll open the public comment. We didn't receive any emails this week, but if the public would like to comment, they can call in right now to 607-772-7101.
President Scanlon,
Yes.
this question is for the clerk. I believe there was an email sent about a week or two ago and then it was forwarded to all of council. Is that not considered public comment?
I believe that was for the previous meeting, I think.
No, we didn't have a meeting after that. This is the next subsequent meeting.
Can you jog my memory? Do you remember who it was from? Sorry.
Yes, it was a follow-up letter from Bev, who came in public 2 or 3 sessions prior.
Yeah, so I recall that now. So yes, Beverly Rainforth, she's a city resident. She did send along an email. I don't believe it was for public comment, but it could have been, but it was just a follow-up to the letter that the mayor had sent her.
That was on regarding Lincoln Ave, right?
Correct. And
Correct.
that was forwarded to city council.
Right.
So I think the mayor did answer her letter.
Right, and her response was for everyone, not only council, but to be read as public comment, was my understanding.
Okay.
Lee, do you have access to that?
If you give me a minute, I might be able to find it.
Great.
Okay, I found the letter.
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Sure, you want to read it? Go ahead.
Okay. It's about 2 pages long, so bear with me. But so this is from Beverly Rainforth to Mayor David, CC'd City Council. Dear Mayor David, thank you for taking the time to respond to my letter to City Council. I was disappointed to find that you dismissed each of my concerns as well as solutions I offered. I had hoped to meet with you to discuss these issues, but apparently that won't happen, so I'm elaborating here. Regarding extending the project over 2 summers rather than 1, I do not have access to your engineering records, and I will concede that I may not remember all the details of rebuilding the streets I referenced, but I do remember very clearly the work on my block of Lathrop Avenue. It took 1 summer. The city may have rebuilt 1/2 of Lathrop during 1 summer and 1/2 the next, but my block was inaccessible for 1 summer, then it was done. And there was no need to tear up anything later to correct construction problems because it was done properly the first time. While you continue to justify the 2-year approach, you do not acknowledge the problems created for residents by 15 months of terrible road conditions. The dirt and diesel soot in the air didn't just coat the outsides of our homes, they coated our lungs. Already vulnerable for some residents, drivers could not avoid deep ruts, potholes, and chunks of loose concrete on blacktop. I just got a bill for $461 to replace a strut on my car at 33,000 miles. The mechanic said damage was likely due to road conditions. Of course, there is no way to prove the strut failure was due to Lincoln Ave potholes, but it's hard to believe that 15 months of driving on Outback conditions didn't contribute. Regarding communication about the project, your 4 letters don't begin to provide the kind of information that would have been helpful to residents. Your March 6th letter states, from the start, we knew Lincoln Ave would be a 2-year project, but that information was not included in your first letters to residents. Neither was information about disruptions in trash collection. Offering information about the scope of the project at the outset is far more helpful than after the fact, or instructing everyone to call Public Works for more information. Regarding the 4 letters sent to current residents, I am concerned that I did not receive the first letter. My neighbor said she got a letter from you, but since I had not, we concluded it was in response to her call to your office. Perhaps I didn't receive the letter because I live in a duplex. If one letter was sent to 29 Lincoln Ave, the mailman got to decide who would get it. I've gotten the subsequent letters, but they strike me as too little, too late, and far more self-congratulatory than informative about what to expect. Regarding trash collection, it seems that you won't consider existence of any problems unless someone complained to your office. I thought your office would have better things to do. After all, I called for an appointment with you on Friday, March 13th, and as of today, Friday, March 20th, no one has returned my call. I always assumed it was more efficient and effective to contact the department that handles the services I need. Are you suggesting I call your office when I have a problem related to one of your departments? Your March 6th letter says, in situations where sanitation trucks are unable to access the street during the day, it's assigned to the night shift to be collected that evening. First, this information should have been provided to residents at the start of the project. Second, that still leaves too little predictability with no way to know if trash will be collected at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. Since the morning collection might be as early as 6 a.m., residents have learned it's best just to put the trash out the night before, especially in the summer. If residents know the trash will be collected at night, we might not put our trash out 24 hours earlier, leaving it vulnerable to squirrels and other animals to tear open the trash bags and spread the trash around. When or if trash was collected seemed to have little to do with construction activity of the day, whether early morning or night. Construction equipment was always parked on the street. What difference did it make whether it was morning or night? All the construction equipment was sitting idle and no construction workers were on site. You denied existence of any problems because neither your office nor Public Works had received any complaints, and if you had, you would have worked quickly to address them. On the evening of July 2nd, Lincoln Ave residents put out trash to be collected the morning of July 3rd. The sanitation truck didn't come in the morning. So as you said, it should have come later that night, but it didn't. As you can see from my phone records, I called Public Works Dispatch 24-hour hotline on July 4th to find out when trash would be collected. No one answered. Then I called the BPD. When I called the police on July 4th, they said trash collection wasn't their problem. By the time animals had already torn into the bags and dragged the trash all over. The scene, the smell on July 4th was disgusting. It didn't occur to me to call your office on July 4th. Would someone have been there to resolve the problem? On July 5th, I called Public Works 3 times before reaching someone. A truck finally collected the trash on Friday night, some 72 hours after trash was put on the curb. My calls don't constitute a complaint. What does? And is this your idea of a quick response? Regarding topsoil on utility strips, I regret that I don't have pictures of what I saw on Lincoln Ave before topsoil was added. If your DPW supervisor confirmed the contractor used 4 to 6 inches of topsoil, then the contractor must have dug out gravel they added to the strip and removed the chunks of concrete and large rocks. What I do provide is pictures after the Parks Department planted trees on my block, which show a great deal of gravel and debris in the topsoil. This type of dark gray angular stone doesn't occur naturally in our soil, neither does concrete, blacktop, or broken pipe. The gravel is the same type I saw added to the utility strip, sometimes several inches, sometimes compacted to heavy equipment. One of the construction workers told me they add gravel so they don't have to use much topsoil. I've no doubt about the quality of the hydro seeding. Grass started growing quickly. How well it keeps growing depends on the topsoil beneath it. That will be evident this summer. You have congratulated yourself for a job well done and your superiority to previous administrations. It is disappointing that you are not so willing to take resident concerns seriously and consider that street rebuilding project could be better done. Sincerely, Beverly Rain.
Okay, that's read into public record now. I don't know, any discussion about that? Angela, you want to say something more about the letter or anything?
No, well, let me just briefly say, we need to be consistent with how we handle any type of communication from the constituents, particularly since we have shifted to safeguard our communities in a different format for our meeting structure. So again, that letter was of great concern. She subsequently followed up with another email to all of us because COVID has shifted some access. So that's all I want to say, that we have to just put forth extra effort to hear the concerns, it's particularly during this time.
Councilman Burns.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to have a discussion with everybody and the mayor about the 2-year projects, because over on Brook Avenue here on the south side, my son owns a 2-family over there, and it was over 2 years, and it was more than 2 years. They started it one summer, then they abandoned it. Nobody knew what was going on. Then they came back the next year, but they didn't start it in the spring. The spring went by, the summer started, then they came back, and it wasn't finished until almost the end of that year. So, and she's right, you know, things just sat there and nobody knew what was going on. And I was campaigning over there, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know why nothing's happening. So, you know, it is a bit of a situation that people don't know what's going on when it goes over 2 years, and it's really not fair that they start something and don't finish it until the following year. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks.
I can speak to that for a little bit because I'm in that business. Sometimes they start them later in the year and they can't finish them. There's no time to finish them till the following year. That happens. I'm not sure what happened on Brook Ave. I don't know what happened there, but sometimes they start them late in the year and there's just no time to finish them. The weather kicks in and it's too late to pave them to finish them. So that happens once in a while.
Yeah, this was way beyond paving, but yeah, I got you.
All right, we'll move on to the preferred agenda.
Yes.
You want to read those, Lee, I guess?
Yes. So tonight we have 3 items on the preferred agenda. The first one is introductory ordinance 20-40, which is considered in finance. It's an ordinance to amend the 2020 planning and zoning budget to add a housing safety specialist and fund it and the benefits from New York State City Rise Grant.
Good. We're going to approve those as a whole.
Yes. Okay. I'll move on to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is introductory ordinance 20-41, considered in the MPA committee. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2020 planning and zoning budget to add a historic preservation and neighborhood planner 2 position and remove a historic preservation neighborhood planner position to fund the same.
I was supposed to ask if anybody wanted. Let's back up here a minute. Does anybody want anything removed from the preferred agenda? Please state that now. I apologize, I didn't say it at the start of this. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next one, Lee.
Okay, and the last item on the preferred agenda is introductory resolution 20-28, considered in finance. This is a resolution to authorize a BLDC emergency loan program for the city of Binghamton businesses with 50 employees or less impacted by COVID-19.
This is a voice vote, right?
We need a motion to approve.
I'll take a motion to approve the preferred agenda.
So moved. So moved. So moved.
Said it 3 times. I like that. The second, and the second on that?
Second.
No second, okay. Sophia, did one or the other.
And
Oh, roll call, please.
yes. Okay. Councilman Scaringi is still absent. Councilwoman Resnetti? Councilwoman Riley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman?
Aye.
Councilman Burns?
Aye.
Councilman Strong?
Aye.
President Scanlon?
Aye.
So that's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scaringi.
So Councilwoman Freeman, can you see us?
I can. And I was, I apologize. I was using my computer audio because it's better quality, but it got picked up by my phone and then it created a feedback loop. But I have fixed that now.
Okay, good. All right, good. You're back with us. Good. Okay.
Yeah. But yes, I can see you. I don't think you can see me.
We cannot see you, no. That's all right, though. Well, we can hear you. So we're done with that?
Yes, now we can move on to Bill, the non-preferred.
All right, on to the non-preferred agenda, introductory ordinance 20-34, considered planning. Councilman Strawn, please.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 20-34 is an ordinance authorizing the abandonment of Elizabeth Street and for the sale of the same, and for the sale of 168 Oak Street to Front Street Residences LLC. This introductory ordinance has 3 motions under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and I will read those now.
Okay.
First one, motion to declare City Council as lead agency under seeker.
That needs a second.
Voice vote.
Voice vote. I'm sorry, Sharon, go ahead.
That's just all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go ahead, Phil.
Second one, motion to identify the proposed action as unlisted under seeker.
That's not a voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Third one, motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker for the following reasons. That portion of Elizabeth Street from Girard Ave to the end is only used for access to the real property owned by or is the contract vendee for the adjacent property. No public access is at issue. The street serves no public purpose and is not otherwise used by the public. 168 Oak Street is a vacant lot after demolition of a single-family house. It has no public purpose. Sale of the premises will allow for commercial development consistent with zoning and the character of the neighborhood. Any future development, if any, will be subject to all code, zoning, and planning regulations, including stormwater runoff.
That needs a second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Okay, so this one requires a full roll call. So Councilman Scaringi is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti?
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley?
Aviva?
Oh,
Sorry, I was.
Aye.
Sorry.
Councilwoman Friedman?
Aye.
Councilman Burns?
Aye.
Councilman Strawn?
Aye.
And President Scanlon?
Aye.
Grinzy's back.
Councilman Scaringi, would you like to vote on the motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker?
Aye.
Okay,
So we got to do the legislation itself.
correct. So that's 7 ayes, including Scaringi.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
And for the clerk's, I apologize for the clerk's records and for Grace's records. Councilman Scaringi entered at 6:56.
Correct.
Okay, I now ask for unanimous consideration of introductory ordinance 20-34. An ordinance authorizing the abandonment of Elizabeth Street and for the sale of the same and for the sale of 168 Oak Street to Front Street Residences LLC.
Okay, that needs a second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Questions or discussion on this?
I'd like to make a comment if that's okay.
Sure.
I do just want to stress, so I don't believe that in the initial pitch, this project was billed as affordable housing, but that is in the wording of the official ordinance. So I do just want to make sure that we, we hold the developer accountable that these do turn into affordable housing units. And if that's the case, I'm very much in favor of putting otherwise abandoned buildings, to the developer.
Other comments or questions? Roll call, please, Lynn.
Councilman Scaringi?
If if court counsel will allow it, I wasn't on for the public hearing, so do I have the opportunity to abstain in a situation like this, Sharon?
The short answer is no, but we can compel you one way or the other, unless there's a reason for recusal on it. Everyone's operating with the same information.
Okay.
And just for your information, there was no public comment on this.
Okay, there was nothing received.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Aye.
No,
No, this was the.
nobody called in. There was nobody sent anything either. Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry
So
about
that's
that.
an aye from Councilman Scaringi. Councilwoman Resnetti?
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman?
Aye.
Councilman Burns?
Aye.
Councilman Strawn?
Aye.
And President Scanlon.
Aye.
So that's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory ordinance 20-39, considered planning, Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 20-39 is an ordinance authoring the sale of 14 Earl Drive to Scott L. Benson.
Second.
This ordinance also has 3 motions under the State Environment Quality Review Act, and I will go through them now. The first one, a motion to declare city council's lead agency under seeker.
Second.
Voice vote?
Voice vote.
There should be a voice vote for that.
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Vote, Bill.
Second motion, to identify the proposed action as unlisted under seeker.
Second.
Second.
That's all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Third motion is to issue a negative declaration under seeker for the following reasons. This is a vacant lot. Mr. Benson owns adjacent property. The property to be transferred must be maintained, may only be used as green space, except for a driveway to his adjacent property.
This is all.
Expect for a driveway to his adjacent property, as may be approved by the planning department. This sale is part of the city's side lot rent program, or city side lot program, sorry. The vacant lot must be merged with Mr. Benson's adjacent property with 16 Earl Drive. The transfer will preserve green space and provide future maintenance.
Second.
Roll call, please, Lee.
Councilman Scaringi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti?
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley? Okay, we'll take that as an aye. Councilwoman Friedman?
Aye.
Councilman Burns?
Aye.
Councilman Strawn?
Aye.
And President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I now stand and ask for unanimous consideration of introductory ordinance 20-39, an ordinance authorizing 14 Earl Drive to Scott L. Benson.
Questions or
Second.
comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Question been called. Roll call, please, Lee.
Yes. Councilman Scaringi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti?
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman?
Aye.
Councilman Burns?
Aye.
Councilman Strawn?
Aye.
President Scanlon?
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory ordinance 20-42, considered finance, Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for unanimous consideration of introductory ordinance 20-42. An ordinance to void permanent ordinance 20-36 due to FEMA and New York State reimbursement funding.
Questions or comments on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Question been called.
Councilman Scaringi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti?
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman?
Aye.
Councilman Burns?
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory ordinance 20-43, considered finance, Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for unanimous consideration of introductory ordinance 20-43.
Second.
An ordinance to amend the 2020 capital fund for coronavirus mitigation.
Questions or comments on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Question been called?
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory resolution 20-27, considered finance, Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for unanimous consideration of introductory resolution 20-27.
Second.
An ordinance authoring the mayor to enter into a term agreement for 2020 for environmental services with Keystone Environmental Services.
Questions or comments on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Been called?
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory resolution 20-29, considered finance, Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for unanimous consideration of introductory resolution 20-29.
Second.
A resolution authorizing an agreement with Barton and LaJudas for recreation park upgrades for the tennis court and ice rink.
Questions or comments on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Question been called?
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory resolution 20-30, considered in finance, Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for unanimous consideration of introductory resolution 20-30.
Second.
A resolution to authorize an agreement with Barton and LaJudas for engineering services for the City Hall Fire Station.
Questions or comments on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Been called?
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Introductory resolution 20-31, considered in finance, Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for unanimous consideration of introductory resolution 20-31.
Second.
A resolution to enter into an agreement with GHD for post-construction compliance monitoring program at BJCJ STF.
Questions or comments on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Been called?
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
I had a communication from council members. I believe we're starting with Councilman Strong today.
2 in a row.
Is it 2 in a row?
That's it.
I think it's Gio.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Hold on, Phil, you want me to correct it?
No, it's fine. Just briefly, I don't really have, I just want to thank everyone involved in trying to, well, not for setting this up well. I think it's hard, but everybody's worked really hard. And I think for the most part, it's worked pretty well. So I just want to thank you for doing that. And I just want to thank the mayor and the administration for, last time we did have something read into the public record recommending that they stop the use of the blue trash bags for at least a period of time. So I just want to thank the mayor and the administration for implementing that. It was definitely a tangible small but very tangible way to help during this time. And I just hope everybody continues to stay safe, social distance, and maybe next time we'll all be like the Brady Bunch on the street.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Scaringi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize to everyone again, and anybody who may be watching. My neighbor Julie across the street called me like 5 minutes before the meeting started. She was walking on Grant Boulevard and fell. So that's why I came in late and missed first part of the meeting. So I apologize about that. Just want to thank the code department, especially Kyle and Jonathan, our vacant property officer, for all the help that they really helped facilitate the first district with a few issues that we've had over the last few weeks. I also want to thank Bernice St. Clair, our superintendent of roads. She's just phenomenal and is really doing an incredible job of making sure that a lot of the issues that are being reported, not just traditionally, but even through the City of Binghamton app, are really being facilitated quickly. So I really just want to thank her for that. Lastly, just stay safe, look out for your neighbors, look out for your pets, and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm the Councilwoman Resinetti, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hello, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Some of you here, some of you on the screen. I want to thank everybody who's working really hard at making all this happen. I know that these are different times for us all. Since the last time we met, certainly our lives have continued to change still in an unprecedented way. I certainly have seen us all identify and tap into tremendous strengths in our community. I mentioned that 4 weeks ago when we were here, but I'm really truly humbled to have seen us all come together in many ways to help our community members. I wanted to say first, thank you to those who are out on the front lines, our nurses, our doctors, our police officers, our fire folks, emergency services, anybody who's out there while we're home often, as we should be, they're out there doing hard work protecting us. So I just want to say thank you to all those folks. I want to thank those who have been working really hard to meet the needs of families and children, and as far as making sure that they have food at the table because they're not in school anymore, or shelter. And as I say that, I want to also just make the point that often home shelter is not necessarily the safest place. I say that because as you probably have heard, the governor and others have said how rates of domestic violence have increased and child abuse. I'm really, really concerned about those folks who, we like to think that home sometimes is the safest place to be, but that is not necessarily the case. And I've worked with women and children of domestic violence over the years, and I can tell you that my heart aches for many of them who are victims right now on so many levels and are unable to leave. Pay attention, check in your neighbor. If you see something, say something. We all need to just come together and make sure that we protect each other. And it isn't just as important it is, making sure that they have food on the table, making sure that they have shelter. But let's make sure that they're safe from folks that are violent around them. Let's make sure that just all come together and help in every way that we can. So with that, thank you. And I hope to see you guys, well, I'd like to say, without social distancing next time around, but that's probably not going to happen. But at least we can all be on the screen. And again, thank you to everybody who's making this happen, all the folks behind the technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Riley, please.
Thank you, President Scanlon and my fellow colleagues on City Council. I want to start off by again echoing the sentiments of my other council team members. I'm very appreciative of the technology that was put in place because I think we ought to represent that social distancing and again, helping in all ways to flatten the curve. As we talked about in our last council session not too long ago, this is something we've never seen before. And we don't know what's going to happen. We can only look at the data and assume the trajectory and how it might plague our city and our state and our nation. So I implore each and every one of you to continue to do what you need to do to be that example, not only for your families, but for our neighbors and friends as well. We have to emphasize the point. This is not a vacation. This is not a time off of school. And I say that about 50 times because I have one in my house that thinks that this is a time to slack off. We have to be safe and we have to safeguard not only our family members, but our neighbors and friends. And again, thank you to IT for working that out. And thank you guys for, again, being that best example. But as we talk about this COVID-19 and how it affects, we have to again shout out our neighbors and friends that are supporting each other. A number of businesses have restructured to not only continue to employ their workers, but also to support the needs of the populations that are not able to sustain proper food and sustenance. So I want to, again, recognize those businesses, recognize the organizations that are continuing to host food pantries and host food deliveries like the Binghamton Food Rescue. They are still delivering food, although employing safeguards. They are still ensuring that people are able to receive healthy items. I want all of us here on City Council to also recognize that because of COVID-19, there has been a tremendous shift on these services and resources. So my colleague, Councilwoman Rezanetti, talked about safeguards in the home. I mentioned food, but there's a large subset of the population that don't have either. Okay, so we can't forget that. And I think we can support the systems that are in place, delivering food such as the rescue, such as the pantries, by adding a donation. You don't have to leave your home to donate to these organizations so that they can continue. And for the homeless population, we don't have to wait for legislation to pass for us to contribute. As I mentioned during our work session, we currently have shut off access to public water, public utilities. So those that are unhoused and not able to receive the emergency funds from DSS will remain unhoused unless we are able to contribute to the agencies that have been put in place to support those needs. But again, COVID-19 has put us in a new state, and we need to remember that everyone is utilizing funds that were earmarked for other things so that they can continue to function as normal and as safe as possible. So if you can continue to lean, continue to contribute so that we all can remain safe, healthy, as stress-free as possible, because again, that's another thing. People keep putting these memes up about if you're not further along and haven't published or what have you. This is hard. And if you have to just be still sometimes, take that time. So again, we can work together to support each other, and that's what City Council can do, not only as the representatives of our various districts, but as people in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilwoman Friedman, please.
Thank you, President Scanlon. This pandemic has not so much, well, in addition to creating certain problems like, you know, an acute health issue, it has also brought to light a lot of systemic issues that already existed, like Councilwoman Rezanetti said, domestic violence, and like Councilwoman Riley said, homelessness. So I think that we have to make sure that we are looking out for people who are particularly vulnerable, who are experiencing these problems beforehand, but now instead of urgent, it has become an emergency. So I really hope that we as a council can work together to pass legislation and work to protect those extra vulnerable people. Hopefully, I know cities were, Governor Cuomo has taken initiative and doing a lot of things like the eviction and foreclosure moratorium. So I hope that we can follow in his lead and maybe strengthen those protections that have already been put in place to make sure that we are not neglecting the people of our community. I received a correspondence from someone who actually is not one of my constituents, but was talking about how in this letter, and it was a typed up physical letter, which I appreciate, from someone who appears to be a young person, kind of a lost art there. But this person was saying that in their opinion, the city has really failed the population who is experiencing homelessness, and there haven't been that many public statements regarding that. Or money that has been really awarded, or not enough money that has been awarded to those causes. So again, I hope that this COVID-19 issue puts the fire under our feet to solve the problems that were already there, but that have now become emergencies. I hope that everyone who is able to stays home and takes the social distancing seriously. Or actually, you know what? I heard something that I liked, that we shouldn't be social distancing, we should be physically distancing, where we should reach out to people. We should check on our neighbors and make phone calls to friends and family if we can, but stay physically distant from each other. So I hope that City Council coming up will be able to pass some really exciting, powerful legislation to make Binghamton a safer community for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to echo what everybody said about our community and staying safe in this crisis. I'd like to thank Lori and Jared and the IT department for, looking out for City Council and make sure the government continues to work. I was very happy to vote aye tonight on the legislation to give the small business loans to our small businesses. And as I was voting on it, it made me think about first, all the CEOs in the world right now are out at their houses on the Hamptons, or their maids are bringing them something to eat. And the people that are really running our country, that are really there for us, are out there working, and most of them are working for a minimum wage that is not a living wage. And I know that that is not what City Council does, but if there's anybody watching that has anything to do with government that can help that minimum wage be raised, please help us out and do that. It also made me think about small businesses in our city. On the south side, we have the Hole in the Wall restaurant, we have the Number 5, we have Thirsties, and we have South City, all of them serving lunch to go. And we need these restaurants in our community. The whole city, there's these restaurants that are trying to stay in business. And I've heard people say, well, they need us, so we should support them. We need them. We need them. They are the fabric of our community. And, Wegmans is not going to go out of business. At the end of this, Wegmans is going to be there. They're doing quite well for themselves. So if people are out there and you're buying food that's pre-made already, that you just take home and throw it in to heat up, just think about, ordering from one of the local restaurants in the city. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Burns. I just got a couple things. Albert Tortle started construction on Robinson Street on my side, in my district, and there's some road closed signs up that people aren't really seeing. They're driving through there anyway. So for anybody watching, I'd advise you to be careful driving through there. It's not even road, and you're going to wreck your car driving through there. Also, I had a chance to, yesterday I went to the Binghamton School District Maintenance Garage, which is on the corner of Robinson Street and Chenango Street. And I watched from a distance, I'm handing out food to the children that need it. And I just want to thank BOCES for being able to do that and putting that together. It's a great program. They're feeding the kids. I'd like to see it extended to the dinner hour, but they're handing them food more than one package at a time. So I'm assuming there's enough food there for dinner too. So I think it's great that we're able to do that as a community and as a school district and BOCES in general. That's all I have, and I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.